Hey guys, and welcome to Natural Aesthetics. In this video I'm going to talk about training splits, so full body versus conventional bodybuilding splits and hybrids in between, the pros and cons of each style, and hopefully some advice on how to maximise the efficiency of whatever training split you use. You have to remember as well, guys, that one split isn't necessarily more effective than another. These are just my opinions. Each style has its merits, each style has its cons as well. So let's get started, straight to the point. Full body training, the main pro is frequency. There's a greater potential to become more efficient at a particular lift. If you wanted to, you could do bench press 3 times a week on full body, so that's 12 sessions a month, 12 times to practice that lift and become better at that lift, improve your technique. Whereas when you're doing a split routine, you're only training it once a week, that's only 4 a month. So it's obviously nowhere near as many times to become good at that lift. So I think it would be hard to argue that point that you can become better at moving, doing particular exercises and movements. I do think personally as well, from what I've seen, this is my opinion, that I can become stronger quicker whilst doing full body routines as opposed to split styles of training. Especially when switching from a split routine where I'm doing the muscle group once a week to full body where I'm suddenly ramping the frequency right up to 3 times a week, I become much stronger pretty quickly. Combining this with a bulk, and then you're going to see very impressive returns. That being said, the full bodies are very time consuming. You need really an hour and a half to 3 hours to fit everything in that you need to do. More often than not, I find myself having to take away exercises or splitting the sessions up, adding exercises onto the next training day, or even sometimes missing exercises out for that week simply because I don't have enough time to commit to those long sessions. I would say that's the biggest complaint of full body, and I see that most with my clients as well. It's just time. So let's move on to split styles, and we'll start with a conventional split where you're training one muscle each day, so a 5-day split. Typically shoulders, back, legs, chest, and then arms. Whatever you can move it however you want across the week. The main pro is that it's very, very time effective. You can be in and out within 45 minutes, and you only have to focus on one body part, so you can keep the intensity very high. It's also very mentally rewarding. When you go into a session, you feel yourself getting pumped, you feel confident about yourself because you see that body part increasing its size. It feels good. Now, the main con of split style training that I have, some may disagree, is the intensity of the lift towards the end of the session. The question that I ask is, how high is the intensity on those last lifts where you're so fatigued on that particular muscle that your strength on that muscle is now 60-70% of your maximum strength? You may be trying very hard to lift that weight, but you're not working at your maximum capacity. Also, obviously, the frequency is much lower, so there's less possibility of becoming better at your main compound lifts. Now, the hybrid routines are where you kind of combine the two elements together. You would do maybe upper lower, or perhaps push pull lower. So you're combining muscle groups together. Now, these are very effective because, one, you have good frequency, and number two, you're also getting that benefit of only training 2 muscle groups, maybe 3 during a session, so you can concentrate on those muscle groups to a greater degree than doing full body routines. So those are my opinions. Now let's talk about the research. There are a couple of studies that I want to show you guys. The first one tests out muscular strength, body composition and salivary hormones on rugby players following 2 different styles of training, split style and full body. The researchers found that 1RM squat and 1RM bench press improved in both of the conditions, yet there was no difference between the 2 routines. This kind of goes along with the thought that perhaps muscular adaptations are driven primarily by overall training volume and not by the arrangement of the workout. So as I said, there may not be one particular split that is better than another. It's more about getting in that overall volume. If you can do 3 sets of 3 on chest on each day of your full body routine, it's 9 sets per week. You could do a bodybuilding split and hit 9 sets in that session, and you might see similar gains in muscular hypertrophy or strength. On the other hand, this is kind of contradictory. This study shows the influence of resistance training frequency on muscular adaptations in well-trained men. The group was randomly assigned to one or two experimental groups, a split where multiple exercises were performed for a specific muscle group in a session with 2 to 3 muscle groups trained per session, or total where one exercise was performed per muscle group in a session with all muscle groups trained in each session. That was tested pre and post study for 1 repetition max strength in the bench press and squat, muscle thickness of forearm flexors, forearm extensors, and vastus lateralis. Results showed significantly greater increases in forearm flexor for total group compared with split. So it doesn't talk about any other increases in hypertrophy on any of the other areas that they tested, nor does it talk about an improvement in strength on any of the other exercises. But it's pretty interesting that a full body routine would yield greater improvements in muscular hypertrophy on the forearms than a split routine. Findings suggest a potential superior hypertrophic benefit to higher weekly resistance training frequencies. So it's very interesting, 2 different studies there that showcase 2 different results. So we can't really form any concrete conclusions from this research as to what's a better split for improving muscle hypertrophy or strength. What I will say is that I think it comes down more to adherence and your ability to keep the program up for a longer period of time, whatever split that you choose. Does it fit into your lifestyle? Does it fit into your work hours? Do you have enough time to do the necessary work that you need to with full body training? If you don't, then a split may be better. Likewise, if you're not really enjoying a split, you don't really like training like that, then a full body may be better. You may feel yourself working harder during a full body training style. Wherever it may be, you need to work hard and you need to be consistent. Any routine can give you gains if you follow those 2 principles. So some food for thought there, guys. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, then please subscribe to my channel, Natural Aesthetics. The next video will be about the shocking problems with modern bodybuilding, so stay tuned for that. Stay strong.